Hey guys, I am Tam, and this is a learning journey to the soul where we learn to experiment through our lives to see what it actually means to be human for us. And we try to carve our own path, I guess. On this episode, I wanted to share a little experience with you. So, I've been feeling the feelings today, and I realized something. No matter where you are, no matter where you go to, no matter who you're with, if there's a feeling inside of you, it won't go away as long as you haven't learned the lesson. Or as long as you haven't actually sit with it. As long as you didn't actually just sit with it and try to understand what it's trying to tell you. So I've been feeling anxious and unsafe in my own body today, even though nothing bad happened to me. My dad's girlfriend's kid, she was mad, so she was screaming at one of the maids because he was making fun of her. But he was just trying to nag her, I don't know. But I could feel her anger, and her shouting at him made me feel unsafe, just like when I was a child and people used to shout at me or something. So I sat with it and I was like, but why am I feeling that way though? Like, really? And I realized that it's a learned response in my own nervous system, in my own mechanism, that's trying to protect me. So it just shuts out every time there is a sense of conflict or unease in the exterior realm. And I realized most of the time I need space, I need calm, so that I can feel calm. Which means that when the external world is being agitated, I feel agitated. So I started thinking about it, and I was like, well, if the external world is a reflection of your own being, and it's a reflection of your inner being, I was like, well, if I'm focusing on the chaos outside of me, it means that if I'm focusing too much on the chaos around me and I'm being influenced by it, it just shows that I didn't really deal with my own chaos deep down. And it's been 2 days since I've been kind of trying to meditate in the dark, because when I was young I used to really be scared of the dark, even though sometimes I used to feel really good and safe in the dark, because at the same time it was calm and there was no one there and no sounds, just silence and void. And I liked the void because there's nothing that can actually influence you. And the thing I realized is that just like kids are usually scared of the dark, like lots of adults do too, I started wondering, like, why is it that we get scared of things? Where does the fear come from? And as I was thinking and as I was exposing myself to my own fears, I started to realize that all fear really is a projection of something internal. So we all know that fear is an illusion. Sometimes your body can actually detect real danger outside of you, but in this modern world, this real danger is kind of like rare. So most of your fears are actually coming from something internal. Everything you feel is internal anyways. So my point being that observing the night, observing the void, made me realize that we are mostly just afraid of our own inner being. Like, we all know it. Somehow we know it. We've heard it before, we've seen it before, we've read it somewhere, I don't know. But like, there's a difference between knowing it as a phrase, like we are all just afraid of our own inner being, we are just afraid of being, like, getting to know ourselves, or like to just sit with ourselves because we're afraid of the present moment, I don't know. But there's a difference between intellectualizing it and actually observing it. And that's what I've been doing for 2 nights. I've been really observing the night and trying to understand what scares me in the dark. And I realized that once I put myself in a posture of fear, everything starts scaring me. I start being paranoid, like a little shape, a teddy bear. Anything would just scare me. I see something in the void moving, like, I don't know, like a floaty cotton thingy, and then it will scare me because I'm like, am I seeing beings or am I not seeing beings, or what is this? But that's because you're focusing, at least that's because I was focusing on the external. That's because I was focusing on the external world, and I wasn't actually focusing on myself. There's a difference between observing something and putting all of your attention on that one thing. That's what I'm starting to realize, which means that you can observe the darkness, you can observe the night, you can observe yourself, you can observe a tree, you can observe a kid, without fusing with it. Fusing? What's the word? Sans fusionner. Without like becoming one with it. Like, we are one with everything, we're connected to everything. So when we put our attention onto something, onto someone, we might actually start to feel what they're feeling. Or like, when you put your attention on the fear, well, you're actually feeding that fear, so you start feeling it more and more. That's what I've observed. And although I've heard it in other videos before, it's becoming more clear now that I actually observe the fact that I'm afraid when I'm afraid, and that I observe the fact that I'm getting more and more afraid the more I start to focus on the fact that I'm afraid. And when I take a moment to breathe and I ask myself, oh, why am I afraid though? Where is this fear coming from? Is it rational or not? Am I really gonna die? If it's not gonna kill me, then why would I be afraid? Because fear is usually a survival mechanism. So like, if you're gonna stay alive tonight, why be afraid of the dark? What's really scaring you, for example? And maybe that way you'll start to have insights from your childhood. Maybe you'll get a memory of something that traumatized you. Maybe you'll just develop new feelings, like a certain kind of calmness that helps you to sit inside of your body with the tension, with the uncomfortable feelings. And somehow create a new reaction out of it. So like, instead of reacting as you usually would, you'd break free of a pattern and create a new kind of reality, because you went above the fear. It's like you're underwater and you're afraid because everything is blurry. You can't really see underwater. You see shapes moving, you don't know what they are, so you're afraid of them because they're blurry. But once you realize, and underwater you can't really breathe, so at some point you're suffocating so much that you need to go above the water and take some air. And once you get your head out of water, you breathe and you realize that now you can see clearly because you're not on the water, and your eyes can see everything that surrounds it. And maybe the shapes that you saw moving were just fish swimming next to you, but now you can see them. And maybe just a leaf fell off the tree and was floating on the water, and you saw something above you and it scared you of getting out of water, but you still did it, and now you see that it was just a tree leaf that was scaring you. I don't know if it makes sense. It's like I'm using images because it's not so much about what is happening more than it is about what the feeling behind it is, if that makes sense. And actually, I'm starting to understand a little bit more of like what it means when they say that you create your own reality. Everything you experience is a reflection of what you're feeling deep down. So today I woke up and I felt disconnected because yesterday I was on my phone the whole day editing 2 videos because I'm late on my editing. So today I felt drained and disconnected, and like I wanted to cry because I just needed to be in my body. So anything external could make me burst into flames if it wasn't the right way, you know? Like the kid talking to me would make me get so angry, but at the same time I wouldn't, because I know it's not her fault if I'm feeling that way. It's between me and myself. But then I realized, like, I started to kind of understand the adults and how they used to act with me when I was a kid. Because like there are things where you'd feel like mom and dad, they're not actually present for you. They're not giving you the attention that you're seeking. But actually they're just like busy with their own internal battles. And sometimes like kids, they need lots of attention. So they suck all of your energy if you let them. Which means that you need to learn how to set boundaries. And that's what they did in their own kind of way, I guess. And the kid would take it as rejection. But it's not. It's just that at this moment, in this moment, I don't have energy to give because I need to nurture myself first, or else I won't function properly. And I'm just anxious, and I'm just feeling all sorts of emotions that I don't even comprehend myself. So how can I be there for you if I don't know how to be there for me first? So I realized it's okay to take breaks from people when you need to. It's actually an act of self-love to do so. It's also an act of self-love to set boundaries, even if you know deep down that the person in front of you won't like it, be it a kid or a parent, an adult, a friend, a partner, anyone. And if you have certain patterns in your relationships, like for example, I think I had an anxious attachment style, which means that any kind of pulling away would make me feel anxious, like there's something wrong. And I was thinking about it today, because I woke up already anxious. And then it's like I was anxious about certain things and certain people. And I started to ask myself, why? Like, there's nothing wrong. Why am I feeling anxious about these people? So I sat with it and I realized the pattern. It's like my inner child that didn't feel validated by the adults when it was young still needed validation and support from my partners or from my friends or from anyone I would interact with. So the fact that I don't get the same dynamic every single day used to make me anxious. And today, sitting with it, I realized, like, even if it wasn't conscious, because I wouldn't act on it or like make someone feel bad for not having the same dynamic every time, because like it's normal, we're human, and like we all have our ups and downs, we have our lives to live, we have our own projects, we live, we just live, we are. So yeah. And the thing is, what did I want to say? Yeah, I sat with it and I realized again that this is a form of codependency too, because it's like you want to, I wanted to say drain. It's draining for other people if you're expecting them to give you everything you didn't receive when you were young. And that's what made me realize that when you focus less on what's happening on the outside with anyone, even if you have a couple, even if you're in a relationship with, in a love relation, even if you're a couple, for example, you can't expect from your partner to make you happy. If you expect them to make you happy, then it will never work. And you'll always be disappointed. Because that's not the point of it. People are not here to make you happy. Maybe that their presence can contribute to your happiness, but that's a plus. That's a plus. You should be the one making you happy first. And seeking something from someone, no matter how small of a feeling you're searching for in someone, is like trying to steal something from them. Even if it's unconscious, and we all do it, it's still something to look at. Because the attention is on what's happening with them, instead of bringing it back in and focusing on the only thing you can focus on, which is what's happening within you. And when you look at that, you'll start to feel different. You'll start to sit more on your own ground, to stand more on your own ground. I don't know how, if that's the expression, but I think you get it. Like you'll feel more present. I'm not saying I'm there yet, but I felt something when I was in my little aha moment, when I was analyzing, internalizing, and observing my reactions, the situation, and everything. And the thing is, as long as you don't understand your reactions, as long as you don't feel the feelings that come with it, accept them, and actually allow yourself to let go of something, some expectation, to understand what it is that's really going on. And as long as you keep lying to yourself by giving external factors to why you're feeling a certain way, you won't solve your problem with people and with your couple thingy, if there's a problem in your couple, in your relationships in general. Because you might have a conversation with someone, and that person might be really chill, like there's nothing going on, like everything's fine, you know. And you might have a rushing reaction coming in, like there's something off. There's not really something off, but like anxiety maybe. Like the same dynamic the same inner dynamic you'd have with someone that doesn't really feel safe to you. But that's because you don't feel safe within your own self. And you need to look into that. You need to look into that. What I'm starting to do is like just really, truly ask myself in these moments, like if you can imagine yourself in your body according to how you're feeling, I can see myself through the feeling of anxiousness around a certain situation, that I'm not in my body, that I'm like pulling away and grabbing onto something, I don't know what it is. Just like grabbing onto something, you know? And when I sit with it, it's like I imagine myself, I see myself coming back to my body, and I see how uncomfortable it feels. And then when I sit with it, I see myself battling with it. It's like one day I'm like that, 1 minute I'm trying to get out, 1 minute I'm coming back, 1 minute I'm trying to get out, I'm coming back, I'm getting out, coming back. You know, it's like an inner what's the word? It's like an inner conflict of you wanting to sit with it, but at the same time you're not wanting to sit with it, because the actual point of not being in your body is a self-soothing mechanism to protect you. Survival mode. And some people might tell you that you need to understand why you're running away from yourself, because just resisting and trying to come back won't make it in the long run. And it's true in some way, but do you really have to understand it just intellectually? If you can't put words onto it, but you have the feeling and you have the image in your head of what's happening, it's already some sort of comprehension. Like, I see myself not wanting to be within myself. Like wanting to get out and grab onto something because it doesn't feel safe. And then, as I feel it, I see myself struggling to stay in. Okay, what's next? I try to ask myself, how can I actually make you feel safe? And then I ask myself too, like, is it really how I'm feeling? And usually when I ask myself this, I realize that I'm not really feeling that anxious, like if I'm being truly honest. I'm just feeling fine. So it's either not something... So it's not related to what's happening in the present moment, more than it is maybe reactions, maybe tapping into something that's not even mine. Maybe it is mine, but it's so unconscious and so old that it's just normalized reactions. And when you start to question them, you start to have more aha moments. I'm not telling you that your life will change overnight. It won't. But just like going to the gym, you don't get muscles overnight. It's discipline, it's consistency, even if you don't go every single day of the week, because you still need to rest, you'll still get results. So it's about the little steps. Tiny, teeny, tiny little steps. So you take the first step. You're already one step ahead than where you were the day before. Even if it's just acknowledging something you've been hiding from yourself for so long, which is, I may need help with this behavior, or I may need to look into this feeling, instead of just always complaining about the fact that I'm feeling that way, or that it always happens the same way. It being anything in your life, any situation, and yeah. Tiny steps. And even if some days you don't feel like being conscious of how you're feeling, you just want to be normal, so to say, just chillax on your phone, watch TV or whatever, you have the right to. It's part of the process. You go with your own timing, but sometimes the feelings can get so intense that your body is telling you it's time. And maybe if you're watching this video, you're at a point in your life where it's time, the clock is ticking and it's telling you it's time to step up. Step up, step up, step up. And it's time to make a shift. So yeah. Did I say everything I wanted to say? Or is there something else? Yeah, when I was speaking about the void and observing the darkness of the night, for example, and the silence, that's actually funny, because in the dark, within the silence of this empty space, so to speak, that's when you realize how agitated you are and how uneasy it is for you to sit still with yourself. Even if sometimes it may feel very soothing for you to come back, to be there and nurture yourself. Well, sometimes it's a little harder to come back to nurture yourself when you're feeling something that you would rather not feel. But that's actually when you really need yourself. It's when you're feeling those feelings that you would rather not feel. So instead of trying to reject those feelings that you would rather not feel, be it fear or anything, try to be there for yourself. Instead of beating yourself up, try to sit with it. Sit with yourself. Even if you need to imagine yourself as a little kid inside and just holding it. And you can even hug yourself. Like sometimes I'd be like that. I'd be really hugging myself like, it's okay, you're gonna be fine. And sometimes even the fact of you touching your own skin, not unconsciously just like that and like I'm not feeling it, but like really in a warm kind of way. You're really feeling the feeling of you touching. You're really feeling your own touch, you know? And just like now, the fact that I'm focusing on my left arm touching my right shoulder, it's giving me a warm feeling in my heart. Even though I feel anxious a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not here to be like the perfect little guru wannabe. I'm not. I'm just here to experience stuff and to share my experience, because I think it might actually help people. Because it helps me. So just the fact that you have an intention of you being present for you, for yourself, touching yourself, even just like closing your eyes and really hugging yourself. See, it makes me yawn. It opens my heart, it soothes me, and it helps release some kind of anxiety. Now, for the long run, it might not be the best solution, because it's an in-the-moment kind of solution. It's like right now I'm feeling anxious, I'm gonna sit with it, I'm gonna be there for myself. And I'm not doing it to release the anxiety. I'm just really doing it to be there for me in a moment of need, instead of waiting for someone to do it for me. And yeah, but if you want something long term, you might need to look into energy work and or therapy, and find someone who can help you, just give you the key to unlock a door in your mind, to realize why you're feeling these kind of feelings, where do they actually come from, what's their true origin, and then you can let go. But it's like my brother always says, that it's like an onion. You got many layers, and like the inner healing is all about layers. So you might look into a certain problem at some point in your life, and you'll think you're done with that, but life is like a spiral. You always come around certain things to learn an even deeper lesson. So today you might release something in your relationships, and then in the next relationship you might need to uncover something else a little deeper, and you'd be like, oh, but I thought I worked on that problem. Well, yes, you did, and you've evolved a lot. So it's not to tell you that you're just a problem and that you'll never be perfect, but we are here to learn, and we will never be done learning, which means that we will never be done healing. So don't wait to be perfect in order to do what you want to do with your life. But at the same time, don't avoid the healing and learning process that you're going through. You can do both, you know? The only way to do it is to own it, I guess. Yeah. For example, I love talking about spiritual stuff and inner work, and I'd love to help people one day. But you can only help people to the extent of how much you've helped your own self. So if we're resonating on the same problem, like, I don't know. If I didn't heal something within me, I won't be able to help you. So that's why it's important for me to heal first. But I think for now I'm like in a transition phase where I'm choosing to act on what I feel called to do too. I've always felt called to share my experiences, like my inner experiences, because even me right now talking in front of a camera, it's actually helping me put into words the whole experience that I've had for 2 days, for example. I could journal, but it's not the same. Like right now, it's like I'm having a whole conversation with you, with someone, with my phone. I know someone is watching. At some point, someone will be watching this. Even if it's just my mom. Hi, mommy. But yeah. Today my mom, tomorrow the world. Anyways, my point being, what was my point? I don't know what was my point. Yeah, my point being that I think I'm in a transition phase where I'm allowing myself to try things. And what makes it work is just that I understand that I'm not perfect, that I have a lot yet to learn, and that I'm owning it. And I'm sharing it with you too, so that you realize that you might not be perfect, and you might not be perfect. You might think that you have nothing to offer because you're not perfect. But you've learned something in your life. We all had different experiences in this lifetime. We've all learned something at some point. We've all had aha moments, like, that's it. And so, we all have something to share. We all have something to share. And I truly believe that the more people share their stories, the more we might actually be able to help each other grow. And I believe in the power of what's the word? Group consciousness. Like, you know, the more people come together and help each other, the stronger and further we can go together. Like, I was a true believer. Like, I used to really believe in individuality. Like, I need to do everything on my own. And I think that was blocking me from the richness that I could actually get from people. You know, like, just a conversation with someone can actually alter your life forever, because that person gave you their perspective. And it's the same in life, in business, in everything. You don't have to do it all alone. Right now I'm speaking to me, but I'm also speaking to you too. Like, you don't have to do it alone. We're all on a journey, and thinking that we have to have it all figured out won't help us. It won't help us. No one has everything figured out. No one. No one is fully under control. No one is. Because there's always uncertainty. In this lifetime, we have like infinite possibilities at every given moment. So at any given moment, something could happen and just alter your life. At any given moment, something can come and crush all of your plans out. At any given moment, you might die. At any given moment, someone might get born. At any given moment, you might get inspired. You might feel trapped. You might stumble into something. I don't know. At any given moment, there are infinite possibilities open for you to discover. And I believe you might be able to alter the course of your own life depending on what you believe and what you focus on. Like if you focus on positive things, it's not about just being positive, because that won't work either. But if you truly believe that life is getting you where you need to be, and you know deep down that the universe is conspiring in your favor, then you learn to let go. And this scares me still. I'm still scared to let go. Because sometimes I need to feel reassured, and your mind is a tool, but it also is sometimes a curse, because it wants to protect you, so it might overanalyze things, it might overthink a lot as some means to protect you and feel like it's under control. It's a survival mechanism again. And yeah, like we need to learn to let go, because we never know what might happen. Now, I believe that if we believe in miracles, then they will come to us, because we'll be on that frequency. We'll be aligned to the frequency of miracles, because we just believe in them, and whatever you believe, you attract. It's not really about what you want, more than it is about what you truly believe in deep down, and what's in your subconscious mind. And I guess life, everything that happens in life is here to remind us of our own power. And the end goal is to realize that we really are powerful creators, and we're always co-creating with the universe, God, the angels, whatever you believe in. But we're always co-creating with them, so we can get whatever we want. But first of all, we need to really want it. Like, if it's just your ego that's seeking for something for validation, I think it might not really get it. If it's a pure intention coming from your heart, your soul, you really want this, it's in your DNA, then you'll get it. I don't see why you wouldn't. But you'll have to observe how you're creating your life. Like, the beliefs that you also have that are contributing to you not having it, that are blocking your blessings. So, yeah. What else? I think that's it for today. I don't know what I don't know what I've been talking about. I forgot half of what I said, so I don't want to repeat myself. If anything else comes, I'll tell you. Ugh. Thank you for sticking by, and if you liked what I've said, if you've had some aha moments, feel free to comment what you've learned or what you've discovered or uncovered about yourself while listening to this. If it helped you in any way, if there's something you might want me to talk about. And yeah, subscribe for more. Alright, bye bye.